warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Universitas Airlangga, with our motto, Excellent with Morality, is determined to produce graduates, researchers, or academics who are not only excellent in their expertise, but also have a Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Universitas Airlangga, with our motto, Excellent Public University, Universitas Airlangga is committed to build and strengthen collaboration with institutions around the world through academic activities, research, and community services. Therefore, I would like to invite you all to work together with us through academic partnership for serving all communities. I look forward to welcoming you in Universitas Airlangga in the near future. Thank you.
When you ask about Universitas Airlangga or think about applying, we will give you an insight about us in numbers.
You can come to Surabaya, the second biggest city in Indonesia. Just an hour's flight from Jakarta, and find us selecting over 9,000 students each year.
And it's easy to go anywhere from here. Only 40 minutes to international airport, 30 minutes to bus station, and 5 minutes to railway station.
We select each individual carefully for our 14 faculties to learn with more than 38,000 other students from around the world each year.
You'll be learning in 3 different campuses, connected by 3 shuttle buses, going every 30 minutes every day. No big deal.
There are 165 different programs consisting 39 bachelors, 45 masters, 13 doctorate, 3 4 years vocationals, and 17 3 years vocationals.
41 specialists and 7 professional educations. Among them, there are 5 international class and dual degree programs, and also 12 multidisciplinary programs in our postgraduate school.
Want to know our international class and dual degree program? Here we have medicine, dental medicine, veterinary medicine, pharmacist education, and psychology.
But worry not, there won't be any difficulties. For 2,600 of our staff are ready to assist you at any turn of your study.
And almost 2,000 lecturers to answer your scientific questions, and 224 professors for more difficult ones. Or your answers could be anywhere among 118,000 collections in our library.
And if you wonder, are we always the seniors?
No, we have 39 student clubs with 10 different sports, 8 martial arts, 5 religious clubs, 7 creative and traditional arts, and 7 more others.
Above all, since 1954, we are proud of our students. In 2017 alone, 444 of them are getting achievements in national and international level. Collaborating with 149 universities across the globe, we are ready, marching with the rest of the world, cultivating the brightest future of all.
Most of the time, we won't see their faces, and we won't know their names.
Pasien apa ini?
Ya dok, jadi ini ada pasien open fraktur kudus dextra. Sudah kami bebatakan dan sudah kami imobilisasi.
Oke, stabilkan.
We're used to call them heroes. They have their own lives. But when anyone needs them,
Ya. Kapan kejadiannya? Oke. Oke, saya meluncur.
they run for them. They run through uneasy terrains and places. To help people and put their own lives aside.
Halo, Assalamualaikum Ayah.
Halo, waalaikumsalam Ibu. Rumah apa kabar?
Iya nih, aku mau ngabarin kalau Bapak sakit lagi, sekarang mau masuk rumah sakit lagi.
Oh. Ayah, nitip Bapak sebentar ya. Ayah 2 minggu lagi pulang kok.
Ayah di sana tugasnya yang lancar ya.
Iya. Terima kasih Ibu.
Biar tugas di sini aku yang handle.
Iya.
Cuman mau sampein itu aja ya. Ayah jaga kesehatan ya. I miss you. Assalamualaikum.
Salam. I miss you too.
That's the story of our hero.
Hi, Cheryl.
Hello.
How are you?
I don't mind my background. My laptop is not developed enough for the Zoom background.
No
And then I
worries.
have a thunderstorm now. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, I hope the volume is okay.
Yeah.
It's very clear.
Okay, great. Nice to meet everybody.
Yes.
Nice to meet you, Cheryl.
Halo Budian.
Halo,
Hello.
Pak Irfan. Halo, Cheryl.
Hello. Hi.
Hello, hi. How are you?
Hi. I'm good. Thank you.
It's good, it's good. So you're staying at home?
Yeah, I think since many months already.
Yes.
Yeah, we cannot leave our house now.
Right, okay. But we are actually working
Jangan
from the
dilihatin.
office at the moment. But then still under the social restrictions protocol.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Your students will be logging in from home or will they be on
From home.
campus?
From home, yes.
Okay.
The campus still closing, Cheryl.
Yeah, only in the management office. For the faculties, they are still closed. For students as well.
We have your attention, please, everyone. Welcome, and we would like to start the agenda in a minute. Please remain online and kindly switch your microphone to silent mode. Before we start to the agenda, we would like to provide a video profile of Universitas Airlangga and also Singapore Zoo. Please, Cahya.
When you ask about Universitas Airlangga or think about applying, we will give you an insight about us in numbers.
You can come to Surabaya, the second biggest city in Indonesia. Just an hour's flight from Jakarta and find us selecting over 9,000 students each year.
And it's easy to go anywhere from here. Only 40 minutes to international airport, 30 minutes to bus station, and 5 minutes to railway station.
We select each individual carefully for our 14 faculties to learn with more than 38,000 other students from around the world each year.
You'll be learning in 3 different campuses, connected by 3 shuttle buses, going every 30 minutes every day. No big deal.
There are 165 different programs consisting 39 bachelors, 45 masters, 13 doctorate, 3 4 years vocationals, and 17 3 years vocationals.
41 specialists and 7 professional educations. Among them, there are 5 international class and dual degree programs, and also 12 multidisciplinary programs in our postgraduate school.
Want to know our international class and dual degree program? Here we have medicine, dental medicine, veterinary medicine, pharmacist education, and psychology.
But worry not, there won't be any difficulties. For 2,600 of our staff are ready to assist you at any turn of your study.
And almost 2,000 lecturers to answer your scientific questions, and 224 professors for more difficult ones. Or your answers could be anywhere among 118,000 collections in our library.
And if you wonder, are we always mysterious?
No, we have 39 student clubs with 10 different sports, 8 martial arts, 5 religious clubs, 7 creative and traditional arts, and 7 more others.
Above all, since 1954, we are proud of our students. In 2017 alone, 444 of them are getting achievements in national and international level. Collaborating with 149 universities across the globe, we are ready, marching with the rest of the world, cultivating the brightest future of all.
I've always wanted to help people.
To pay it forward, to lead others to make a change.
And together we can make a positive contribution.
The power of the invisible makes the visible powerful. Hidden behind the machines, wealth, and structures are confidence, conviction, decision, passion. At the foundation of any urban innovation, be it the economy, law, or technology and infrastructure, is the delicate science of cultural and social integration. These are the cords that bind a society, the relationships between people. The social sciences. The Singapore University of Social Sciences provides vital applied training, whether it's humanities, management or languages, law or science and technology, to create in students the instincts to help understand, manage, and solve the issues that affect society. We share knowledge because more minds find more solutions. We open minds and create passion to do meaningful work. And we constantly refresh, innovate, and invigorate. Because as the world turns and changes, we should too. We look at human society and at what it needs. We empower people to keep learning, to discover their potential, to change, and to shape the world.
It's really important to have lifelong learning.
Will continue to expand myself.
Because when I improve myself, it inspires others around me.
Anyone can make a change as long as we're willing to take a step.
Change has to start from yourself. As soon as you improve yourself, change will happen.
Thank you, Chahya. A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. His Her Excellency, the honored speakers, Ms. Cheryl Lee Shujuan from Singapore University of Social Sciences, and also Mr. Irfan Wahyudi, PhD from Universitas Airlangga, the moderator, organizing committee, participants, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Viro. I will be the MC for today's event. Thank you and welcome to the Airlangga Global Talk, Creating Manageable International Programs During Challenging Period 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate all of your patience to attend this conference about creating manageable international program during challenging period. We hope that this conference will provide you a wonderful insight and about the topic. Ladies and gentlemen, to commencement the event, I would like to place Ms. Dian Ekowati, PhD, as the head of Airlangga Global Engagement to give the opening remarks. To Ibu Dian, the time is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Viro. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I do hope that everyone could hear my voice. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome you today on this incredibly special occasions on the second series of webinar from Airlangga Global Talk. A very warm greeting to every one of us. I would like also to greet Ms. Cheryl Lee Sujuan, the head of Global Programs, Center for Experiential Learning, Singapore University of Social Science, Dr. Irfan Wahyudi, the head of Divisions of International Program of Airlangga Global Engagement, Universitas Airlangga, the moderator, Ibu Maya Ardianti, the MC, as well as the organizing committee, and also all the participants of the seminars. It is a very great honor for Universitas Airlangga in conducting this kind like an event. We would like to engage more with our stakeholders, including all our global partners. And we do understand that there are various situations that we actually encounter during these days, and especially with this pandemic, things becomes very challenging. And it, of course, highly impacted our sector, the education sectors, especially with regards to the internationalizations. Hence, the university, including Airlangga as well as SUSS, needs to adapt to this kind like change happenings around us. And this also includes how we manage our international programs, which in many occasions involve the mobility. The need to adapt to this kind like situations requires different resources, different approaches, and we do believe that we invite the experts on this area, including Ms. Cheryl from SUSS, to share the experience of SUSS in managing this kind like a mobility. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the international webinar on creating manageable international program, especially in this challenging period. I would really happy to open and allow this committee to comment with the events. With Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, please kindly proceed, and also I open this kind like a webinar. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for the warm remarks, Ibu Dian. Ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to the main agenda, I would like to introduce the moderator that will be lead this session, Ms. Tri Ubaidia Maya. She is also a lecturer in vocational faculty in Universitas Airlangga and also one of the faculty ambassador in Universitas Airlangga. To Ibu Maya, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Ibu Viro, as the MC for today's event. First of all, let me greet the audience first. Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the honor given to me as the moderator of today's event. And I also would like to greet Bu Dian as the head of Airlangga Global Engagement, the honorable speakers, Mr. Irfan Wahyudi, as well as Ms. Cheryl Lee from SSUS, as well as the honorable audiences that have come to our today's event. Well, ladies and gentlemen, pandemic of COVID-19 pandemic has forced all of us, the academicians, to think creatively how to transform the old way of conducting international programs to a new way that can be manageable for all aspects. That is why today we are going to welcome two honorable speakers, Mr. Irfan Wahyudi from Universitas Airlangga, as well as Ms. Cheryl Lee from Singapore University of Social Sciences. For the first speaker that is going to present today is coming from Universitas Airlangga, Mr. Irfan Wahyudi, PhD, who is the head of international programs at Airlangga Global Engagement, Universitas Airlangga, Indonesia. He is also a lecturer in Media and Communication Studies at the Faculty of Social and Political Sciences, Universitas Airlangga. He received his PhD from Edith Cowan University School of Arts and Humanities. He is also involved in the making and implementation of popular international programs in Universitas Airlangga, such as Amerta, the ADS and KNB scholarships, tailor-made programs, and short programs since 2016. He also leads the UNER teams in winning the Erasmus Jean Monnet module period 2017 to 2010. Then in the next 30 minutes, we're going to listening to Pak Irfan's presentation about manageable international programs during pandemic. For Pak Irfan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Bu Maya. Hi, Cheryl, and also the audience here. It's a good pleasure for me to be here and also give a talk on the issues on creating manageable programs during the pandemic. As we know, it has been discussed previously as well by Ibu Dian Ekawati on how we should have to be optimistic in this challenging time, even though we already know that we have been limited in our resources, in doing physical mobility as well. So that's why it's actually something that is very unique for universities in doing their international programs that can actually still attract international students and academicians to performing programs and also joining the program as well. So this is the webinar is also one of the things that has been done by universities in order to get the solution, whether they can still manage the program in a good way. I will share my presentation right now. All right. Right. My topic is about manageable international program during pandemic. as what has been informed, I've been involved in the internationalization of the university since 4 years ago. And I know that it has been an excitement to get being creative in creating programs, to actually inviting and also accepting international academics to our university. And we have been enjoying it since before the pandemic. But during the pandemic, it's a kind of different story. Well, during the first phase of COVID-19 in March, we actually didn't know what to do, right? I remember that I talked with my team and said that I think we have to cancel everything that we have planned this year, since it's already noticed that it's a global pandemic. Like every country still cannot do mobility. The border has been closed. There's no flights. And that brings us into like, well, it's some sort of like negativity, because we have been planning to do the program in 2020, and we have planned it since by mid of 2019. Means that we have pretty much opened our resources and plan our resources to do that. But it should be noticed as well that it is something that we have lived until now. Like in March, we still don't know whether it will going to last until when, but until now, we're still happening to have it. And after all, we need to know that whether it is still going to be just being silent, just wait and see, but no, we can't do that. And it's actually become the spirit of the university, where in 2020 itself, Universitas Airlangga has actually reached their good position in the world ranking. We have ranked by the Times Higher Education in 301 to 400 for this kind of ranking performed, especially in SDGs. We have pretty much ranking over that. And by QS, in 2020, 2021, we received right now the position that it's pretty happy for us, because we try to manage to go through further on top 500. And we managed to have it in this year. So it's not always negative. We have this good position. And it's also bring us the optimistic. And yet we know that epidemic is on everyone, right? Everyone is facing it. And it's not only in Indonesia, it's also in other countries. Means that if we stop doing much thing, then the world will stop. So we try to think that it is something we need to perform. Like we already notice the challenges. Whether it's academia related, it will be losing excitement of direct experiences. Like when we are talking about the program with other university, for example, yeah, we want to go there, but you know that we cannot do that right now, right? Even though the most attractive feature of an international program is the mobility itself. People will try to get these direct experiences. And also this kind of losing of enthusiasm because there are lack of direct experiences. It's also become a challenge for us when we are doing, as it is become a solution of doing the online programs, maintaining the enthusiasm during virtual session. And it's also blurring boundaries of identities, where time differences also matters, right? We performed a webinar like this, or even an international program for a week or two, and it happened during the afternoon Indonesia time. But what happened with our partners when they are in the US? It's like 4 or 3 a.m. in the morning, and while we have to, they have to wake up, and here we have no problem, but in there, it's become a problem with the time differences. And the challenge also regarding partner or consortium, the commitment to conduct joint programs, like time, funding, other resources, as we know that it needs to be like the finance needs to be ensure whether the program is effective or not. Because it's always been like, what will you do in this online program? Well, will it be effective to everyone? Yes. And also the competition principles, cooperation and competitions. Whether it is something that mutually benefit to our university or partner universities, because it includes different expectation, right? Some university would like to go further on the quantity of the participants. Some say that it doesn't need to be much, it needs to be in a good quality. So we need to meet this expectation and consider it as a challenge. And other challenges, including how to build unique programs, the program that actually can answer this kind of expectation, whether it's effective, timely effective, efficient in terms of budget and sort of stuff, and whether it will contribute to the knowledge and the experience of the student itself. Because no one says it will be easy. And we know right now this is a force major for everyone. Will that matter to internationalization achievement? Now, this kind of thing that we need to consider and actually would like to go forward by keep moving. Contingency strategy to ensure sustainability of the international programs. Yes, we need different kind of strategy. We need different kind of approaches in doing our programs. And it's not only one or two, it needs to be much more than that. And it needs to go to different kind of partners, university students, countries, yeah? Because we need to embrace the challenge and we need to reach out to the closer to the institution. We need our partner the most during this time. We have to get the closest partner or the closest partnership that we have already built. Because by doing this, that means that we are doing it not all alone, but all together. By embracing the challenge, we need to think out of the box. We need to build our own organizational strength. What kind of strength that has been built by Universitas Airlangga, for example? Will it be on the strength of doing this community empowerment program? Will it be on the mobility program that actually visiting exotic place in Indonesia? Or whether it's about the cultural and language that actually attracted many people to learn about Indonesian language, for example. Well, we need to make it as our own. We need to embrace it as being part of our strength. And by reaching out to the closer institution, we need to figure out who's the closest in distance, for example. We have our close partners in Singapore, in Malaysia, in Brunei. We need to get to know them better. We need to be as close as possible because this is the closest partner that we have. Or East Asia, or maybe Australia, yeah, because that's the circle that we have. So by doing this, we try to keep the distance closer, and by doing this, we also can manage good manageable program that can be actually make people to participate. Then we need to channel our program by effective disclosure, effective kind of consortium that we have built. We have also good partner institution and also academia staff and students who will be our closest target, who can actually work with us all together. So by thinking this kind of arrangement, we try to make this approach into different kind of programs. For example, we have this academic mobility exchange at Airlangga, Amerta. The program started in 2014, so it's like 6 years from now. And it's always been offline. It's always been performed in the university by attracting students from our partner institution abroad, by sending their students come to our place. And it's happened for 6 years, and it's gaining its momentum. But during pandemic, we need to shut it down. So we try to change it into Amarta online. It is conducted through synchronous and asynchronous learning for 1 semester. It will be started this September. Last semester, we performed Amarta offline first, and then during the midterm, we change it into online because that's the first wave of coronavirus actually appeared. And since Amarta before or previously has offered this partial scholarship by giving students funding for their accommodation while they're in Surabaya, but during this online, we cannot give those kind of funding. That's why we try to aim by giving them free courses on Indonesian and Indonesian language and culture by this program called Lingua, Learning Indonesian Language at Universitas Airlangga. So all the Amarta students are eligible to joining this program of Lingua. Yeah. And they can join this program from the basic courses until the advanced courses. So it's some kind of thing that we develop to keep the program running, and also providing students with additional courses that they can actually join with Amarta and Lingua. We also have provide students with the competition, such as this one, Airlangga Flatten the Curve competition. It is an international competition which held in order to curb the spread of COVID-19 through interactive media. It is a competition on short video, essay, and poster. This year, AFCC will be conducted twice, and we have already performed the first AFCC in June, and hopefully it will be by the late of 2020. We have received good and positive contribution from international students. 75 students who are coming from 25 different countries are actually joining this competition. And by sending marvelous essays and very good videos that they actually provided to countering the effects of the coronavirus. The competition itself brings to give the positive vibes to the students when maybe they still cannot go home because the border is already closed, and it gives them like toys to get around for this kind of competition. And also, as I have said before, we have the Airlangga Global Talk series. Like previously, yesterday we have the first one of Sustainable Global Academic Cooperation by inviting several speakers from Osaka University, University Malaya in Malaysia, Asia University in Taiwan, National University of Singapore. And it brings about very kind of interesting discussion. And we already have this also have been performed actually in the same time as this webinar, the COP Community Outreach Program on Stunting Prevention Acceleration. We have these specific issues, like this year we have this stunting prevention. And last year we have this issue on fisheries and marine. We are working closely with our partners, and right now with this program, we are working with Universitas Diponegoro in Semarang, Indonesia. Okay. And we also have performed in the same time, like this webinar. We have East Java Exploration for the consortium of Western Australia East Java University Consortium, where 10 universities in East Java work together with 4 universities in Western Australia. We also have short programs that will be conducted, like Surabali. This is the most popular program actually for international students, where students can visit Surabaya and also Bali. Yeah, it has been the 3rd year right now, and yet we are doing this Surabali program online, where students can still actually visiting good spots of culture and language that will be provided by Universitas Airlangga, Universitas Kristen University of Petra, and also Udayana University in Bali. It will be held in November until 5 December. We also have this Indonesian heritage. So actually these programs has been conducted for years, every year, annually, right? But right now we need to make it into online version. So that's why we need to get the most of it by still giving the students the sense of, like, for example, this Indonesia heritage. It is a program that aims to give first-hand experience for the students in doing this Javanese traditional massage or drinking jamu, the Indonesian traditional herb drinks. Yeah. Then what will they do when it will be held online? It's supposed to have this, the students or the participants need to settle their own, for example, for traditional herb. They need to seek out the best thing that they can get from their places, right? Or even something that have in your kitchen, that you have in your kitchen. And by doing it online, even though it's far, even though it's mediated by technology, it still can be happening. And also we will have this information on virtual tour that will go to different kind of popular buildings in Surabaya and also Surakarta. So this kind of experience can be taught actually by distance. And for the community outreach program, we also have this Luminaire. It is the abbreviation of Local Community Empowerment with Universitas Airlangga online. Yeah. This is a new program that we created as the replacement of Ceria. Ceria is the community empowerment program previously has been provided for the last 2 years. And right now, the 3rd year, we cannot do it offline, so we have this Luminaire. Luminaire brings more on the interaction, online interaction between participants and the community. We have provided several communities that can actually interact with the participants and also try to figure out the solution of these community problems or issues. And also Airlangga Adventure. This is actually a very good program that has been on their 3rd year, where at the 1st year, students are visiting Waikambas, the national park, where it is the known place for the elephant and rhinoceros sanctuary. Students are very excited doing this. And last year, they're also going to Bali and also Banyuwangi. But this year, we still have to figure out which place that we should go, because it needs to bring a good experience for the students online as well. And Indonesia Diversity at Airlangga. This is the program for diversity of culture, diversity of race, ethnics, and also languages. Students are very excited in doing this, and yet needs to be performed online as well. And with our consortium members, we have this Asia Technology University Network on online global classroom. As what I've said, we need to get together, because when we are alone, we don't cooperate, then we can't do anything. So this is the program that actually tried to be built by Universitas Airlangga. And it's sort of a way that we cannot just being silent. We need to move forward. We need to get the best of the thing that we can do. And what will be next? Yeah, we need to have in our mind that we are in this together. We should believe in survivability by healthy competition. Yeah, healthy competition means that we have to get these mutual benefits among partners. We need also to learn together in the cooperative environment, right? Because we can grow if we are together. And we are welcoming more collaborative initiative from our partners, means that we need to be open in managing this kind of programs in this challenging time. And yet, for the last piece of me, we have this AGE way. We need to embrace challenges. We need to play your strengths. And most importantly, we need to innovate your ways. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the insightful presentation, Pak Irfan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are not going to open question and answer session after this, but we are going to delay after the second speaker's presentation. If you have any questions related to Pak Irfan's presentation or Ms. Cheryl presentation later on, please drop your questions in the Q&A feature in your Zoom account. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to the second speaker, Ms. Cheryl Lee from Singapore University of Social Sciences. Well, Ms. Cheryl Lee has an impressive record of managerial experiences since 2014. She is currently the head of Office of Global Programs, Singapore University of Social Sciences. She is now designing and facilitating overseas and local university programs for the university's international network and the students' development of global competencies. She is also leading and developing the strategic framework and tools to guide all global programs, as well as identifying and building international partnerships for the development of international projects and events with a special focus on the expansion of entrepreneurship and social innovation projects. She is also providing strategic guidance to the team's collaborations with various universities' offices, as well as to the mentoring of students in their development of global competences. Then, the time comes when we can't wait to listen to her presentation in the next 30 minutes. Ms. Cheryl Lee will be talking about global learning without a passport. For Ms. Cheryl Lee, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Give me some time. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, I think I'm live right now. My screen is okay. All right. First of all, a very good afternoon to everyone. My name is Cheryl, and I'm heading the Global Programs Department in the Center for Experiential Learning at SUSS. Very, very appreciative and grateful for Airlangga University for inviting me to be here today. I do notice that there's some familiar names, such as my friends at Christ University, and I think some of our students from the Converge program from Airlangga University. Great to see you here with us today. Now, today I understand that many of you are students, so I'll try my very best to also try and make this presentation as relevant as possible to all of you. All right. Now, I just want to share a little bit about the background of our university and what does global learning have to do in our university. Now, our university was actually the first in Singapore to make global programs mandatory for all our undergraduates. And you know, whether we are using the online format right now or the offline format, I think we are always trying to keep our eyes focused on the key objective of why students have to gain global competencies. And it's not really just about, you know, eating different kinds of food and traveling independently, although that of course is important and nice, but essentially I think increasingly, although, you know, we are very connected, but we are also living in very divisive times, and our world is so divided. If you look at the US-China trade wars, for example, you see its impact on so many businesses around the world. And then that brings me to my next slide. You might be aware of the BLM movement as well, which was at its height during the COVID crisis when it first started. And you know, there are all these controversial and divisive topics, but often we avoid talking about them. And our students read about them on local media or certain, I would say maybe certain biased media groups. So they don't have very clear ideas of what is this BLM movement all about and why does it even matter and what does it mean to the rest of the world. So I think at the end of the day, you know, we really want our students to, or rather we really want ourselves as well to be focused on whether it's online or offline, how can we meet the objectives of global learning? And how do we, you know, continue global learning despite not being able to travel? So at this point, I just want to invite everyone to share your thoughts as well on menti.com. So if you just drop over to menti.com, I'd like you to share your thoughts with everyone. What is important for you in a virtual global program? So if you're a student, you can share from a perspective of a student what's important for you if you were to attend one such program. And it has to be virtual, right? Because right now everybody is not traveling, most of us anyway. And of course, if you're an administrator or you're a faculty member, you're a program designer, what is important for you as you try and design a virtual global program? Can you try to go to menti.com and then you type in the code 9911913, and you can type in up to 3 phrases, and then we'll be able to see your word cloud when the submissions start coming in. Can everyone start trying? Ah, great. Networking and interaction, right. Localism. Understanding differences. Okay, you can type up to three words. So the words that would appear larger in the word cloud are the words that more of us are typing. So I'm just going to wait a couple more seconds for more of us to type your inputs. Cultural exchange, interactive. Okay, I see that quite a number of you are talking about the need to understand differences, and you would like to have a high engagement, right? Interaction in your programs. You definitely don't think that interaction should be making new friends, friendships, of course, that's important, networking. It should not be compromised during an overseas program, even if it's held virtually. Okay, let's just wait a few more seconds. All right, I see that somebody typed in interactive speakers. I think that's quite interesting. So you're looking for speakers or webinar sessions or other kind of programs that provide a high level of interaction. They're not just a speaker delivering a talk like a monologue, but actually interacting with the audience. Okay, thank you so much. I'm just gonna jump right back to my slides right now. Yep, okay, so it brings me to my next question, that, you know, when all of us are thinking about how do we design something online, I think we have to, first of all, focus on what are the opportunities that the online format can provide us. And we're not focused on thinking about the transference. You know, like how can I transfer from offline to online? I think that's often the wrong thinking. And when we think about the opportunities that the online format can provide us, we realize that, hey, there are actually lots and lots of benefits of having programs online. And to be honest, just now, I think the previous speaker was also sharing about, you know, like how his department was trying to grapple with, well, what should we do at this point? You know, should we wait or should we design something new? And I think all of us, we walked through the same journey. And for one time, you know, I think it was probably in March, we were still hoping, okay, maybe by June we can travel. And obviously that's not going to happen, right? But you know, when we first started designing something for July and June and July, we were actually very worried. To be very honest, we were very worried. We were worried about engagement. We were worried whether this will work. We were worried that students would not enjoy the program, that it will fail. But interestingly, I think things organically just develop in certain ways, where we realize that, hey, actually there's a lot of value in holding programs online. And we actually are thinking about how can we do this permanently so that we have a fair level of online and offline programs. And online programs definitely provide us a sense of inclusivity. So no matter your income level, right, you can still travel, you know, to see or to meet people from maybe South America or America or Canada. You can, and I think that's amazing. And that's something that we are trying to do as well, because we are a university that really tries to achieve our strong social mission, and we want to be as inclusive as possible. So what I want to do at this point is I want to just introduce to you 3 industries. And you know, I don't have all the answers. I don't have any magic formula on what would magically work for an online program. But what I love to do is I love to take inspiration from the different sectors and different industries. And when we visit these 3 sectors that I would introduce to you, I hope that you can take away some of these questions that I think my team is also trying to grapple with. Okay, so the first industry would be the startup ecosystem, or what we call the entrepreneurship industry, right? Many of you may be familiar with incubators and accelerators, and they're usually very intense. This one is called Ignite, and it was started by Intel. It's an accelerator program for early stage startups. And generally, accelerators and incubators, right, they are like, if you think about it, it's like an intense greenhouse for plants. And you want to put as much water, put as much fertilizer and such, and really hope that at the end of the 12 weeks, these plants would grow to be strong, strong trees, for example, right? The seedlings will grow. And these startups, right, they're all applying for a super competitive program. But the
I'm sorry, Cheryl. We cannot hear your voice.
I'm sorry, Miss Ariel, we cannot hear your voice. Still no, sorry.
How about now?
Yes, fine. It's fine.
Okay, so sorry. Where did I start?
You're fine. I'm sorry, the voice is losing again. Not yet.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah?
We do. Yes, we can. We can hear you now.
Okay, if it's okay, I will continue. So sorry, I think there's a problem with my mic. Yeah. So anyway, I was sharing that this particular accelerator, right, they actually experience 100 applications, and from 100, they have to whittle it down all the way to 16. And what they did was they actually recorded all these videos. They received all these videos of the different startups that were applying, and they placed the different judges in small rooms. And what you see here is one of it. Okay, they are watching the video of the startups. And interestingly, this is what happened. They realized that the judges were providing very detailed feedback. Their score sheets were very different from a usual face-to-face program. There was no herd effect, or there was, I would say, a reduced bandwagon effect, where one vocal judge or person, audience member, would influence everyone else in the room and provide, a verdict that everybody would agree on, that okay, this startup is a great, we should, let them join in the program. So the second thing that worked in their favor. But the second thing that did not quite work in their favor was the issue of how they could not mingle as before. I think many of you mentioned that interaction is extremely important for you. So yeah, mingling and getting to know each other, networking between investor and startup, between startup to startup, right? All these were very much minimized on a virtual platform. And that is a problem for them. They have problems reading each other's non-verbal body clues. So they can't tell this person is trustworthy or not. They can't tell this person likes them or not. It's very tricky. Yeah. But, as with any platform, I think it's interesting that we can think about this from an educator's point of view, or some of you are designing programs, and really, how can we leverage on this? If we were conducting a presentation online, or we were holding a discussion online, how can we create this environment where the herd effect is minimized? And I think that is the magic of holding programs online. But similarly, it's important still for us to consider when we do our program design, how can we still encourage people to get to know each other? And I think the human connection is what keeps the people together, especially if the program is longer than a few hours, all right? So that brings me to, and connects me to the next industry, which is the theater industry. And the theater industry, was greatly affected by the pandemic. They've always been focusing on creating a unique experience for their audiences, memories, I would say, right? So I just want to introduce to you this Singaporean company called Sidelines Entertainment. And they came up with this 1 hour murder at Mandai Camp. Mandai Camp is actually a military camp in Singapore. It's a make-believe story. And they did it entirely on Zoom. I know many of you will be thinking about how on earth do they do that on Zoom? But what is interesting is that they didn't just use Zoom for the purpose that we are using now, but they actually kind of like gamified it and encouraged the audience to be as participative as possible. And at the end of the 1 hour, the audience must vote for who they think is the murderer. But how did they make this interactive? They did this, and this is a picture of a pre-recorded, I would say behind the scenes, backstage scenes of the pre-recording. So the characters were mostly talking to the camera, all right? Obviously, there's not going to be some elaborate like setting, at the back. So it's just themselves talking to the camera, and they were offering these recorded videos on Telegram. So they work closely with the Telegram app, and they ask the audience to go on a Telegram app and watch these pre-recorded videos that are dropped to them as clues. So these are like small clues that will help you unravel who exactly is the murderer. And they felt that the audience was very participative because they were interacting with one another on the Telegram chat group. And there is the sense of excitement, great excitement of guessing, did I get it right or not? So what I found interesting was that, you know, the theater company actually did not create this play for COVID times. They actually thought of this idea 2 years ago, but they sat on it because they felt that they could not quite imagine how can they do this on a face-to-face, you know, format in a normal theater space. So then when COVID happened, they realized that, hey, this is the perfect opportunity for us to try this method, right? And it worked out. And I think that is the magic of a program designer that is able to really focus on engagement. And they're not afraid to layer their program, right, their Zoom program, with other apps and other pre-recordings to make the entire experience as interactive and as audience-centric as possible. So that brings me to the last industry. And many of you may be familiar with Airbnb, right? I know you may know that Airbnb has taken a big hit. When the pandemic happened, they started to scale up their Airbnb experiences platform. So they're basically inviting different people around the world to create an experience, which is like an hour-long experience, and to sell this experience to small audience members around the world. So this particular one, okay, that you see here, can you zoom in just on the guy in the middle? And he's wearing this strange, you know, hood and strange outfit, right, holding a lamp. So this, if you were to join his audience, he's basically providing a pre-recorded video of him walking through the old town, the old abandoned town in Prague. And he's simulating the experience of this guy who was a 17th century very famous doctor, and the experiences that he went through during the 17th and 18th century pandemic, the Black Death pandemic. So what he's wearing was actually the 17th century version of a PPE, like a protective gear that the doctors and the medical staff of that time were wearing. So I thought it was interesting because many times, you know, when we think about holding something virtual, we think about prioritizing a live event. We are always valuing live events over a non-live events, recorded experiences. But what he did was he did not think of it as a divide, right? He did not create that false dichotomy, but he chose to layer it, just like what the theater experience did. So what he does is he would show this audience the recording. And actually, if you look at the extreme left side of my slide, that's him in the center talking. And he will provide a running commentary of what exactly was it like during the 17th century. So the thing is, for us as a department, you know, we're not just serving our students and thinking about how can our students go abroad. We're also thinking about how can your students, you know, your students from Airlangga come to Singapore. How can we still host visiting students? But you know, if we were to design an elaborate program every month, I think it would not be sustainable. It's not scalable. But the ability to layer a synchronous and asynchronous event and think of how you can scale it, right, is a lot more sustainable, and often it's a lot less tiring as well, you know, for the team that's managing it. Yeah, and the next one would be this example of a coffee farmer in Colombia. And this is quite an eye-opener for somebody who's never visited a coffee farm. At least I haven't, right? But she provides this from seed to coffee cup whole explanation and experience. She is a 5th generation coffee farmer in Colombia. And she would show you the process of what it means and what it's like to process coffee beans. So why I'm showing you this is because, you know, at least from an administrator's point of view, it's extremely difficult for us to always provide programs to very far-flung destinations. And, you know, my university students, they're not necessarily from high-income families, and they do have to scrimp and save and work part-time to be able to travel. Travel is a luxury. So this ability right now to be able to experience, to be able to learn more about far-flung destinations like South America, I think is really quite amazing and quite remarkable. So that brings me to my next point as well, which is where are we now, or where, how, or perhaps how far have we come so far as a university? And this was the first webinar that we organized. And really our intention was also to connect our students to far-flung, less accessible speakers. And we managed to do that by convening a range of speakers that were sharing on countries like Yemen, Jordan. They were sharing on like Syria, Iraq, and of course, Malaysia's refugee situation. So they were sharing about the internally displaced communities in these countries. And I think we're focusing a lot on that at the moment. We are trying to think of how we can invite speakers that we normally would never be able to fly in to Singapore, right? So our next session is actually on 2nd September. I think I've sent an invite to some of you as well. And it will feature an NGO founder of a human trafficking NGO, okay, from India. So this is what we are trying to do on a monthly basis, right? And what we also did, and I think Airlangga University students were also involved. We had a lot of students from Indonesia. We built this virtual student exchange program called Converge. So maybe at this point, can I invite the Converge video to be screened? We don't have the post-program video yet, but this is a pre-program video. I hope you get some inkling of what the program was. Jump back to my slides. So maybe I'll just provide some background of this program for many of you that may not have heard of it. We started Converge probably 1 month before we launched Converge, all right? And we were very focused on the platform that would be available to us. So we were very focused on designing our program around the platforms that were available to us. And that was by itself the first mistake that we made, all right? But you know, Converge definitely wasn't perfect, right? And I will share about why it wasn't perfect. But what we did manage to achieve, I think, was quite unexpected for us, right? We would never have imagined that we can connect with so many universities that we don't have formal collaborations with, and from so many countries, again, countries that some of us have never even visited and we've never even had formal discussions with before. I think the reception was overwhelming. And also what we tried to do was we tried to feature a wide range of sectors So we had social entrepreneurs, we had business people, we had innovators, we had community leaders, we had students as well being part of the program. And what we are very proud of, and we are glad, and we really very thankful to see, I would just zoom in on the center of this slide, would be how our students gave feedback at the end that they felt that this program provided them with many insights on different cultures and environments that contrast with that of their own country. And we had 76% strongly agree. And I think that was one of the key objectives that we wanted to meet. We wanted students to be surprised. We wanted students to be shocked. We wanted them to even be angry at hearing what's happening in many other countries. And I think for some of our sessions, we did manage to achieve that. And we did want them, of course, to be moved to take some sort of action and to transfer what they learned back to their own home community, and of course to continue to stay connected to the other participants from different countries. So just to zoom in on one thing that we did, and it surprised us, all right? This particular picture, you see all these other students from different parts of the world. You have Myanmar, Singapore, Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, India, and we invited students to volunteer to share their presentations, very short, 5-10 minutes sharing on the projects that they have been working on back home in their home country. And we told them that the projects can be on topics that, that need not be COVID related, but preferably they are, right? And interestingly, repeatedly, many different feedback opportunities, students would tell us that they enjoyed this segment, that they treasured the opportunity to listen to their peers, to sharing about their experiences, their lived experiences back home. And I thought that was very surprising because, the students were not necessarily the best presenters. They were all amateurs, right? But I think what was different was that they were really sharing from their hearts. And the students were very heartened to be able to connect and to be inspired by a fellow peer from another country. And sometimes, they recognize that, hey, the issues that you were facing in your country are similar to mine, right? And I think that we overlooked that. And we really were glad that we had students very willing to step up and contribute to the program. So what we also did, which I would say, we are very thankful that we had many speakers that said yes to us with no hesitation, would be the fact that there is no other time that we can get so many speakers to say yes to us without any doubt. Pre-COVID, I think many people would say that they don't feel comfortable presenting online, but not anymore, right? And I think that is something that we are very, very hopeful about, right? Because for us as a university, we actually have a majority of students who are part-time students, and they are all working. So they're working in the day and they're studying at night and on weekends. So if we were to organize events, our part-time students can only attend it if it's on maybe a Saturday or Sunday, or if it's at night, right? But chances are they don't want to come to all the way to school to attend the program because they're tired, and that's quite natural. So this is something that we are thinking about, how can we better cater to our part-time students who are working adults, and to offer these as perhaps pre-recorded videos or live discussions in the evenings, right? So that they can access these at their own time. Now, what can we do differently, and what I wish we did differently? Like I said, Converge was not a perfect program. So if I were to just zoom in on the picture on the right, you see this guy called Mark Tan speaking to Apple from Philippines. So what happened was Apple was presenting about the anti-terrorism bill in Philippines. She was sharing during the community engagement presentation segment. And what I noticed was Mark and some other students were asking question after question. And you know that the trick about the online format is that unlike the offline format, it's very difficult to continue conversations after the webinar ends. Right? After the whole session ends, it's time out and you don't see each other anymore. So how do you convert how do you catch these conversations and encourage them to continue speaking to each other, to continue learning from each other independently? And it's not just speaking to fellow students, it's also speaking to the presenter. And I think many of the presenters experience this. They had so many questions, but the time had ended already. So what do we do now? Where do we go to continue these conversations? So what I did was I told Apple and Mark, I said, come on, let's carry this on Facebook. So this is actually a screenshot of our Facebook group. And I said, let's keep the conversation going on Facebook. And let's not stop here, although the time has ended. But it's not a perfect solution, I would say. And really, as program designers, how can we be more intentional in allowing these conversations to continue, in allowing learning to continue? And that is something that is quite complicated on the online format. All right. And the other thing that we also overlooked, this is a picture of one of our participants from India, and she was hosting like a karaoke activity called Don't Forget the Lyrics. And by the way, we had many Indonesian participants who sang very, very well, all right? And they were joining the program. Now, the thing is, we thought that social interaction is important, but we didn't realize how important it was until the program ended. And the problem was that we did not put enough thought into designing interactive social activities. We didn't put enough thought into facilitating it and also rehearsing for it. And maybe even training our students to be ready to do so online. Because how do you conduct games online? Do you know how difficult it is? Right? Especially when people don't switch on the camera, you don't even know whether they're there, right? Let alone ask them to sing a song. It's very tricky. So, but it's interesting because all the students were telling us that they really love the games, right? And we were very shocked. They were like, we really love the game. We want to have more. We want to interact with each other more. And what I realized is that, learning cannot happen if the environment doesn't feel like a community. And learning cannot happen well if people don't feel a sense of safety. And that sense of safety and that sense of comfort comes when you create activities that move not just from the networking, it sounds very corporate, business-like, right? Very formal, but really to build relationships online and to allow people to feel that they can be vulnerable, that they can be themselves, they can share their opinions, they can ask questions, they can, initiate conversation outside the program. And that is something that we cannot undervalue, especially with global learning, when there lots of learning happens outside the formal discussions, right? So this is something that really is an area for improvement for us. And the last, this is my second last slide. My last point is that, so this was a webinar that was actually on inclusive fintech. And one of our speakers, Mr. Roy Lai, okay, he has a very interesting company, and his company basically registers livestock like cattle, right? He registers them on the blockchain. And he was sharing with us how it's very problematic when farmers have no record of owning these livestock. It's problematic both to the banks and both to the farmers, especially when something happens to the livestock. So he was sharing this, and to be very honest, I think many of our students were very intrigued. This is the first time that many of them have heard of such a thing. And these farmers, well, most of them are in Africa, in places like Africa and Myanmar. And they were like, how does this work? I don't understand. How do you convince the farmers to do this? So what I realized is that, what we need to work on really would be to create a more sensory experience, a fuller, more robust experience where students can maybe see videos of the farmers interacting with the companies that is explaining to them about this whole new venture. They need to be able to visualize and see it come to life. So this is an area that we are also exploring, and we're still at a very early stage. We are actually doing some research on virtual reality. So we want to explore how we can include VR in our programs, not to replace a face-to-face program, of course, but to complement not just the virtual format, but even the face-to-face format. And that is something that I think, if done well, can be very transformative to our programs. So before I end, may I leave you with my last quote, which very aptly was quoted by the director, the producer of the Murder and Mandai Camp production. He said that we can't use the methods of yesterday to compete in the economies of tomorrow. And whether we are educators or people from other sectors, I think we cannot sit back and just wait for this whole pandemic and crisis to end, because even when the vaccine is ready, chances are we may not be number one to be vaccinated, right? And then we don't really know what will happen to the whole airline industry. In fact, I don't know if traveling will become more expensive after this, right? So the thing is, how can we still continue to scale to achieve the outcomes that we want to achieve, and to be as creative as possible when we do so, so that our students, no matter their backgrounds, no matter how privileged they are, right? No matter their backgrounds, no matter their wallets, right? They will be able to learn and not be deprived of these learning opportunities, and to be better contributors to a more sustainable and resilient society in our world today. So thank you very much. I've left my email address if any of you have any questions, and if you want to connect with me on LinkedIn or email, you want to continue conversations, if you're also wanting to collaborate with our university, we are very happy to do so. We are actually intending to run our Converge version 2 this December. So if you are keen, do reach out. If not, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cheryl Lee, for the eye-opening presentation. It is very exciting to find out that there are a lot of creative and innovative engagement programs during the pandemic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going into question and answer session. The first question comes from Madhumati Deshpande for Pak Irfan. In your presentation, we do not see you include South Asia. Why not?
Okay, thank you. The obvious answer is this is our contingency plan. Means that this is something that we've done in a short term. We have partners, very valuable partners from South Asia, and we are valuing this collaboration as well. But during the pandemic era, the first stage especially, we have this opportunity to get along with our closest in terms of distance, because we know that it's highly impacted by the virus, and we need to collaborate more by reaching out our nearest neighbor. So it doesn't mean that we have forgetting about South Asia or any other region, because we think that it needs to be go on the shortest distance first, and yet we still can collaborate in the near future by, for example, we have partners as well from Europe, from South Asia, from Middle East that we need to take care of. So it doesn't mean that we're neglecting the other region. Thanks.
Thank you very much for the answer, Pak Irfan. The next question comes from Pinu Mari Ose what preparations did Universitas Airlangga do administratively to redesign international programs?
Yeah, as what I have mentioned previously, we have this planning on the program. For example, next year, we have planned it since July. So like through this year, we have the planning for 2021. But during the COVID, we actually have to redesign everything. Yet we still have the funding and also administratively have submitted our program to the university to get approval. So by doing this, we just need to redesign by giving the most logical explanation that can be used by the top management to determine whether the program is applicable or not. So we kind of do this, and the explaining part is quite difficult because it involves funding as well. So we need to be so concise about this. Yeah.
Okay. And then another questions coming from Pindu Mari Jose. What financial implication do these redesign programs have on the university and the student participants?
Yeah, we actually prepare to well, when it is an offline program, it means it involves direct experience for the students, right? Where they apply for the program, they pay for the tuition fee. But during this online program, we should think more on how about the tuition fee, because it's online and people try to think that, well, you do it online, it's cheaper, right? And so on those kind of thinking, we used to get this kind of approach that the program is for free, but if you would like to pay or to send your funding to the, for example, to the operation of COVID prevention by Indonesian government, you can make it through us. So it's in the kind of funding, but it's actually has been provided by the university for all the funding. So it's only need to taking care of the program itself. For the number of students, we also have this what kind of thing that needs to be adjusted, like what the student or the participants would like to go, or what things that they need to have. We need to meet this expectation by giving them the best, as like giving virtual tours, giving these highly capable speakers, and other thing that still can make the participants come along with the program. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for the answer. Come from Brechpin Detmar. I understand Erlangga prefers to concentrate on collaboration projects with countries nearby because of the mobility possibilities which hopefully come back in the near future? Or do you have other reasons for concentrating on countries around Indonesia?
We value, once again, we value our partners around the globe, right? We do not only collaborate with the nearby partners, but during this hard times, during this pandemic, we try to think that we need to go further by saying hi, by giving the support to our close friends in the region, in Southeast Asia, for example. But it doesn't mean that we are neglecting other partners globally. For example, we have this long-time partners from the US, Miami-Dade College, that have been actively took part in our programs. Means that it doesn't have to be someone that so close to you, but actually we try to make a good connection with our nearby partners. But by doing this, we try to give ourselves and also our friends an opportunity for collaboration, and it doesn't put any doors or obstacles with other partners globally. Yep.
Thank you very much, Pak Irfan. Now, this is the questions for both of the speakers. Have you considered, coming from Andika Dwi Hatris, have you considered using virtual reality like open world video games such as Minecraft to establish an interactive online activity? Who would like to answer first, Pak Irfan or Ms. Sheryl?
Let me try and answer this.
Thank
Disclaimer
you.
is, I have never played Minecraft, but I have watched an 8-year-old play Minecraft. I would have to say we are really at the early stage of researching on the potential of virtual reality. But I think what we will also asking ourselves is, how can we be careful in deciding which programs or which learning journeys should we explore going VR and which are not necessary for VR. So what we did decide was that the VR platform enables high observation skills to be practiced. So if you are thinking of maybe having an international dialogue and such, probably the Zoom platform or some other video platform would be more ideal, is more straightforward. Virtual reality production is also very costly. So we are also mindful of not transferring these unnecessary costs to our participants. But what we did receive interest, everyone, I think, even the faculty members are very curious about this, is that, for our university, because we are very much applied learning university, we pride upon being very industry relevant. I think many of our pre-COVID, many of our lessons included learning journeys and visits to like field trips, basically. So for some of our lecturers, for instance, in the supply chain industry, they had issues because they can't visit the companies, the factories, the warehouses during COVID. So they were open to how they can use VR for this purpose. But again, the problem is that warehouses and factories and many corporates are not open to recordings. Even if you visit them face to face, you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. So how do you convince them then to be on a VR platform? I think it's very, very tricky, very complex. So, but what we can probably leverage on would be to leverage on maybe other institutions that are that already have these state-of-the-art facilities of this technology, and being able to share the space with us so that we can still allow our students to continue learning despite this crisis. So that is something that we are doing. And I think also, so we are also speaking to some farmers in Vietnam, travel companies, travel-related companies in Vietnam, and the other country is Philippines. And they're actually very open to using VR to help our students to be able to see the farming landscape in their countries. But I think what is also crucial is that we think about a facilitation level that is present during VR production, because, mind you, if I am planning a VR production overseas, I can't be there to direct it. None of my staff can be there to direct it. So we are fully reliant on a production company that may know nothing about education. They may be doing VR productions for tour companies, but not for a school or a university. So that is something that we have to consider. How can we still enable the production and the direction to be well facilitated? And like I mentioned, VR production is very expensive. So that is something that we need to think carefully about. Thank you.
Yeah, we actually have thought about it on using the VR as the mode of education for our program. Well, this pandemic situation is actually opening the chances in using the communication technology, right? we have been challenged to be more, to be more sophisticated in running our programs in terms of the use of technology. Yet we also need to think carefully whether it's accessible. The one has been mentioned by Cheryl, whether it's accessible and feasible, and it is applicable enough for the student in particular. But we are aiming to open this kind of activity in the usage of communication technology, and it's not always in terms of using VR or virtual reality or maybe esports or something like that. We can also use the technology, for example, in learning much about the culture of specific places. Like when you have this virtual tour on some sort of place, you can actually set your virtual reality goggle to put on to experience it from your own place. But yes, I think it's more possible in years to come, since we know that we are living with the virus right now, and on the next years, it is a challenge for us, especially in the what's so-called in this industrial revolution 4.0, where everything is disrupted, and we have to prepare ourselves in making the best of the technology by keep developing and also evolving. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shirley and Pak Irfan. Then we move on to the next question from Aldila. This question is for Ms. Cheryl. I was wondering, what are the main challenges of conducting international programs virtually from your experiences?
Thanks for this question. Like I was sharing earlier on, I think number one would be the ability to maximize participant interaction. That is one. We had one bad experience, and I will share this because it's good to learn from mistakes. That we had like 100 over participants on our session, and then when I started asking the participants to respond on a poll, we probably had like 40% respond. So that told us that the other 60% were not listening. And that is a problem for us, really. So maximizing interaction is one, keeping people engaged, of course. And I think a lot of times we are very, like I mentioned, we are very platform centric. We think about the platform that our university is using, whether is it WebEx or Zoom, and we are so focused on just that platform. But what I think we do need to do, and what some of the things that we did try, we tried to research what are other sectors and other industries using to engage. So for example, how is the business sector holding their conferences? You know, what kind of platforms are they using? What are they doing on that platform? How are people connecting their webinars on YouTube, right? It's not just about streaming it live, but really how do you ensure that people are engaged on that platform? How do we conduct Q&A effectively? All this we had to do multiple rehearsals on our own. Our team had to be really proficient at managing events virtually. So for example, we had speakers from Iraq, and then suddenly, you know, there was like a thunderstorm, and then nobody can hear them or see them anymore. And then everyone is wondering, what should we do now, right? So we have to really be prepared for all sorts of situations. There is a sense of loss of control on a virtual platform. So that is tricky. And I just want to mention also that many times, you know, our virtual sessions are all 1 hour long, or sometimes longer. I confess, even our own programs are minimal 1 hour long. But, you know, there is research, and research has shown that people, not just students, people are engaged for maybe 10 minutes to 18 minutes max, and then they just drop off. So that is why many of the corporate companies that focus on ad tech, they actually have a magic number of, you know, maximizing their videos to be no longer than 10 to 15 minutes. And that is what we might have heard of micro learning. You have platforms. I think in Indonesia, Skill Academy, Ruang Guru, you may be familiar with them as well. You know, their videos are also bite-sized. And they told us that, yeah, the optimal time is 18 minutes. That's what their data scientists told them. And then, of course, when I speak to other ed tech companies, they tell me that the optimal time is actually about 10 minutes, no longer than that. So that is something that we are also thinking about. We know that many students are logging on from their mobile, and Zoom is not always made for mobile, because when I tried to log on Zoom webinar, I couldn't even see the Q&A. I couldn't even ask questions on mobile, right? So that is something that we have to think about. We have to think about the user experience of our audience. And that, I think, is important. And if we don't prioritize that and understand what our students are doing, what is important for them, we would end up forgetting to cater to their needs. So yep, at the end of the day, whether is it face-to-face or virtual, we always have to be focused on what are our students' needs. That's all for me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Shirley. That is a very thorough answer. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the last question comes from Ms. Rubina Pasha for Pak Irfan. Would programs like Airlangga Adventure be available for high school students? Will it be credit bearing? If yes? Thank you.
Unfortunately, it's designed for undergraduate students. It's for mahasiswa. So it's not for high school students. You can graduate first and then joining the program while you're in university. So yeah, it's designed for university students. Sorry for that.
Thank you, Pak Irfan. I'm so sorry that there are more questions coming in. The next questions goes to both of the speakers. Which one is more convenient, conducting virtual international program or offline international programs? Ms. Shirley may answer first.
Not quite sure how to answer this question about convenience. Well, I would say definitely conducting a virtual program, you can do it from your home, like I am right now. It's convenient in that sense. For the hosts and for the administrators and the faculty members, they were all streaming in from their homes without traveling out. That is convenient. But I would say, I just wanted to introduce another type of virtual program, and that is a virtual internship. And that's something that we are also trying to organize right now. But virtual internships can be very inconvenient for the intern, because they are working for a company that they have never seen, they have never met before. They've never met their supervisor. They don't see their team, and they feel a huge sense of disconnection. But virtual internships is one of the kind of programs that we are also trying to encourage our students to take part in. I would say it's a very tall order. Our students are not so interested in virtual internships, but we don't have much of an option right now. I think many of companies are not hiring, and we do want to not allow our students to lose out from meaningful work experience during this time. So I wouldn't say it's convenient. It's probably not convenient in the sense that you feel so disconnected from each other, and a lot of times you need to speak to your team. It's so much easier to speak to everybody if you're face to face, rather than calling them and talking to them on WhatsApp or some other platform or email. There's a lot of miscommunication that goes on with your team members and also with your participants and the students involved. So it's not easy, but I think it's really taught us the importance of very clear communication. And giving very clear instructions virtually. Yeah.
Well, I think it's both convenient in terms of we are actually doing this program, even though the online program seems to be another way out during these difficult times. But it's also opening our mind that online programs is also important. Our interaction with technology to grab more audience from other part of the globe is also important. Well, the thing that maybe not to be considered much in our university in Airlangga, for example, many lectures actually done the class offline, right? But during the pandemic, they need to go to this online through cyber campus application. It makes them learn again about how to use this online platform. So actually force some people to change in terms of the way that they did the business. Like in education, you need to think more right now on how to make a great impact while you are doing the online courses. So it's more like on the challenge, not the convenience of the program. Uh, like we get used to this offline program. It has this direct communication, and it cannot be switched into online. It has different kind of dimension. While you are doing online classes, you cannot interact directly with your students, like talk to them, looking at their faces, doing this interactive conversation. But by like right now using this mediated communication means that you have to get used to it, whether you like it or not. So it's more on how we adapt. And yeah, it brings us more, maybe possibly in the next future that we need to adapt more and more. Thank you.
Thank you very much for all the answers. And hopefully this is the last question coming from Nguyen Ngoc An. I'm interested in organizing exams for students. What solution do we have for this?
I'm not sure about answering this. Can you elaborate further? Yeah.
That's all for the questions, but
Okay.
maybe the audience is asking about like platforms to use to organize exams.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can actually using for exams, according to my experience, um, we can still use the online platform provided by the university, like whether you will have this interactive exam or you have the sit-in, means that the students need to stick on their computer to answer the live questions, or you can have these essay questions that can be sent through email. So I think there's a lot of method in doing this kind of exams. Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Shirley, you may want to add to the answer.
Like Park Irfan, I think I don't have many answers for this question. I'm not quite sure what he's asking. At least for global learning, we don't have exams. We have assignments, essay assignments and such. But our university did have online exams the last semester. And how they did it was also with time online exams. So they give them a time limit. The exams start in the evening, for example, and they have like maybe 3 hours to complete the essay and they have to submit it by a certain time. But of course, there are problems with that, like technical problems, you know, I can't submit my assignment, there's something wrong with the system. So you do need your IT department to be on top of their game to really manage the exams very, very tightly. But the other thing I know they were doing was they basically had the students switch on the camera and they did their exams live on camera at home. Yeah, so it's possible, but of course, the problem is sometimes the students don't have the ideal environment at home to conduct that exam, and that's quite common. Maybe the home environment is just too noisy. They don't feel that they can focus. So what we did try to do as well is to allow students to write into us and appeal for reservations of rooms. If they really cannot study at home or they can't focus at all because their house, they have too many people, you know, like 10 people in a 1 room or 2 room space. So they can appeal and get a special room with us. And the room would be in a university and we would carefully manage the movement of the students so as to ensure that safety is not compromised during this period. Yeah, but definitely it's a coordination of multiple departments to ensure that everything goes safely and to protect, of course, the integrity of the exams.
Thank you very much for the answers. Well, we still have 5 minutes left for the question and answer session, and suddenly there is another questions coming in from Pindumari Jose. How did you address the digital divide to reach out to students who are in far-flung geographies? Ms. Sherilyn, you may want to answer first.
Well, if I were to apply that question to SUSS, I would be thinking of how our partnering university students, right? How can we reach out to them, especially if they have technical issues? So I'm assuming it's not referring to my students because Singapore is so small. You know, you can travel from one part of Singapore to another in an hour. We don't really have that much of an issue. I think what we do need to consider would be to rely less on synchronous events, to rely less on live events, so that students can still revisit the recordings. And we tried to do that for our programs, Converge, for example. We did have many students that had to log out because of technical problems, and they couldn't hear us well. They couldn't even switch on the camera because they would use too much internet data. So the ability to allow them to visit the Zoom links, I think that is helpful. But of course, the problem is how can we still allow them to participate live with other participants? That is tricky, right? And so what we really had to do also was to accommodate multiple time zones as well, and try to be flexible so that we don't, and try to be a good listener to many students to understand their needs and what works best for them. Because sometimes it works best for us, the timing that we set, you know, the mode of presentation, but it's not ideal for them. So we keep telling them, can you please switch on your camera? We want to see your faces. We want you to interact. And they would send us text messages saying that, you know, I can't. I don't have enough data. So we are also looking at how we can probably leverage on different kinds of platforms and not just be so heavily focused on Zoom alone. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a common problem actually in Universitas Airlangga, where we have many different kind of student profiles, where some of them were living far from the city, especially during this time. They have to go back and go home to their places, and it's hard for the internet connection when they are in suburban areas or in mountainous or other areas that far from the internet connection. It's actually it's a problem, but the government has this program on helping students with the free data for internet data that's provided by one of the national digital company here in Indonesia. That happened, and it's actually helping the students to still connected. And for this semester, all the courses has been done online, means that they need to get a big data to get through, especially for Zoom. It consumes a lot for your data, right? But it's also appeared that in every village centers, like in the head of the village offices, they provide with free Wi-Fi, means that they can go there to access the internet for the purpose of education. And it's not only for university students, but also for all level of students in Indonesia. So I think the government has been quite well in addressing this connection problem. But it's still become a problem with what we are calling as the digital divide. We still doesn't know about the quality of the connection, right? It can switch off suddenly and then that you can't do anything. So it's still happening. It's disrupting our everyday life, our everyday activities. Means that yes, it needs to be asynchronous as well. As for our international programs, we always providing recordings. Means that students or participants who cannot join because of the time differences, they still can access the recordings, also notes that provided by the committee. So that's a thing that we try to combine these synchronous and asynchronous activities, whether it's live or recorded, because it's very important for this not only technological divide, but also we are talking about time differences that usually become a problem when we are conducting international programs. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the insightful answers, Ms. Shirley and Pak Irfan Wahyudi. We finally come to the end of the sessions. Well, ladies and gentlemen, COVID-19 pandemic has been a tough challenge for us all. We have witnessed from the presentation that people collectively find out ways to be as creative and innovative as possible to resume and transform offline programs to the online ones. And on one hand, yes, the pandemic gave everybody a shock that we might lose excitement of getting direct experiences. But on the other hand, online platforms can actually provide easier ways and access to, that attract higher number of audiences as well as more diverse audiences as well. And a strong reminder from Ms. Shirley that we cannot wait till the pandemic is over to resume our activities. Let's push ourselves to think out of the box, figuring out how to adapt to the changes and deal with the challenges. Okay, thank you very much from me as the moderator. I will return the time to the Master of Ceremony. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maya, for the wonderful session and also for the fruitful discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, to once again say thank you to Mr. Irfan and also contributed in making this webinar happen. Last but not least, we also would like to have a group photo with all of the speakers. My colleague Chahia will help us to do the photo session virtually. Okay, we're
Okay.
ready, everyone.
And we
would
are
like to
waiting
take...
for Shafira to turn on also the camera, and we will have a group photo session. Okay, is everyone ready for a group photo? Okay, I will count one until three, and please say cheese. 1, 2, 3, cheese.
Cheese.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much, Shahya.
You're welcome.
So last but not least, we also encourage all of participants to fill a satisfaction survey. We will give you through a personal chat because your feedback will be very much appreciated. Thank you so much, everyone, for participating in this event. We do apologize for any mistake during this event. We do hope that you, your college, and your family in a good health. Good afternoon. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Goodbye.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Bu Maya. Thank you,
Most
Viro.
welcome, Pak Irfan. Thank you, Ms. Cheryl, Pak
Terima
Irfan.
kasih. Thank you. Take care, everybody.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot, Miss Cheryl, Mas Irfan, Bu Maya.
Terima kasih. Udah Bu Maya.
For all the participants, please don't forget to fill the survey form on bit.ly/globaltalk second day for you to get the e-certificate. Once again, please kindly fill the survey form on bit.ly/globaltalk second day. You can find the link on the chat, and please fill it before tonight. So we will send you the certificates directly.
Okay, thank you, Ibu, for the session. Okay, everyone, so it's back again with me, Niman from Airlangga Global Engagement. So yesterday I was with you as well on icebreaking session. So today I'll be in charge again for this session with Miss Afifa. Okay, Miss Afifa, could you please show us your video? Okay, yeah. So basically today we have a short